Tuesday morning, so of course joining us now, the president of the NAACP, our dear brother, fresh off of victory. The NAACP, it has been duly noted, played a significant role, a very significant role in voter turnout in Alabama. Derrick, God bless you. Good morning, man. Congratulations.
Good morning to you. Congratulations to you. A victory for us is also a victory for you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So tell us a bit about how that unfolded and what the NAACP was able to do.
But let's be clear, NAACP, we exist in communities where there is nothing else in terms of black infrastructure but the church and NAACP. And the black belt of Alabama, they call it the black belt because of the richness of the soil, is where we have some of our strongest individuals who have done the work of getting people out to vote for many years. Mm-hmm. And we were just activated. They say success have 1,000 fathers, but failure have one orphan.
That's right.
Everyone is talking about all the stuff they've done, but for people in the state of Alabama, the Hank and Rose Sanders,
yeah,
the Jerome Grays, the ADC and New South, they have been doing this work for years. And the urgency of the moment dictated that African Americans had to get out to vote at presidential levels.
Right.
And no one thought they could do it, but they did.
Right.
And there was no heavy investment other than the investment of the history of their state and how black people have always fought back when they seen it was necessary to fight back.
Yeah. And this was historic because people thought that we couldn't do this. And it really beat back a few arguments. One, that we couldn't do it. Two, that it was dangerous to nationalize a race and put too much of an emphasis on African Americans on the race because that would mobilize more of Roy Moore's supporters. That was another concern. It also beat back the notion that black votes in red states don't matter. We now have a new hashtag, Black Votes in Red States Matter. So this beat back a number of those arguments, Derrick. I mean, this was historic, man.
Well, one of the things, black votes always matter. In a democracy, our vote is our currency. And when we don't leverage our currency collectively, then we get exploited totally. Mm-hmm. And so this is an example where the shifting of dynamics is catching up to the reality of the South. But more importantly, this was not about black voters. This was about white morality. Mm. Whether Alabamians was willing to stand up for some true morals or stand up with the culture of white supremacy.
Right.
And, 30% of the white community in Alabama, they voted differently than what was predicted. But even with that 30%, it took a presidential level turnout and a consistent vote of the African American community to realize what is possible. And what was possible during the special election is possible in many elections if we can get more whites across the South to wake up to the reality that the white supremacist focus is a wrong focus and it's undermining their quality of life.
What did the NAACP do? This was pretty much the Alabama State Conference, right? Give us kind of a glimpse of what they did, what they put in place, and what plans they implemented to make this a reality.
Well, Bernard Sanders was the state conference president. He systematically went county by county. He met with individuals. He gave them target turnout goals. In some cases, he simply had rallies. In other cases, he connected them to the information needed. There were some limited resources. Nationally, we were able to do patch-in phone calls. So that Monday and before the election, there were over 40,000 phone calls made directly to black Alabamians who actually vote. And it was the most important thing was the NAACP, that consistent message We talked to people. We went to the churches. Reverend Scruggs, who a pastor down there, has had a consistent message every day. There was opportunity where black folks were gathering in critical areas. NAACP worked to convene them, talk with them, talk about the significance of the race. This was about us and our values, our votes. It was important to get out to the polls and vote. And never once had to say who to vote for. I've always said that if we get our folks to the poll, they're going to vote the right way, however we define that. Our challenge is making sure they get to the polls at every opportunity there's an election.
But so let me ask you this too, Derrick, just to be clear. Aren't the state are the state conferences partisan or nonpartisan? Could they have told people how to vote if they had wanted to?
No, I mean, we have an organizational policy that we don't support political parties or individual candidates.
I got you. Okay.
We are a C4, but we have an internal policy that we don't endorse individuals.
I'd say, okay.
Parties. Mm-hmm.
I got you. But again, as you said, getting people out to vote does the trick. If we mobilize our people and get them out without even telling them how to vote, then, it is within our people's nature to do the right thing.
Yeah, the NAACP's work is to make democracy work for everyone.
Yeah.
If we can make sure that African Americans are able to participate at a level consistent with their numbers or higher, the outcome of the elections will have a more positive impact on the public policy that affects us every day. Elections have consequences.
Right.
We're fighting issues that should not be a fight if we can shift our participation. And the narrative that black people don't vote is not a true narrative.
Right.
We do vote. We oftentimes don't vote when we are most needed. And so we have to create a space where people understand that every election matters. We can't drop off certain elections because it is in those particular elections where some of the most oppressive, bad policies get adopted, particularly state elections and some local elections.
And again, this is Derrick Johnson with us, folks, president of NAACP. This is historic, too, in the sense that the NAACP has shown, once again, the importance of the African-American vote and the African-American electorate. This, to me, pretty much is a bellwether and potentially impacts us from now on in terms of how we approach getting out to vote, how we approach mobilizing black voters, and people just had to understand if in order to do this, there's also going to be a need to depend upon the NAACP.
Well, we exist where no one else exists in many communities. And you can't parachute people in to knock on doors.
Right.
Because communities don't respond the same way. But if people who live in the community talk to the people who need to get to the polls, then you increase opportunity. And this is scientifically proven. It's called relational organizing. People respond to those who live in proximity to them, who they're familiar with,
right,
and who understand their cultural language. And so NAACP, with 2,200 units, you're talking about getting African Americans out to the polls, particularly in the South, and especially in rural areas. The vehicle you have to use is NAACP. The whole question of our relevancy is something I kind of smile at because we exist when no one else exists, and we're doing the work nobody else do, although folks have narrative about what they're doing, and people don't know them, but they know us, and they rely on us, and we're getting the work done.
No question about it. And it I think is also a great shot in the arm for the branches, for the state conference, and you and I have always agreed about it. Derrick's a very humble brother. He's the president of the NAACP, but part of his innate calling and mandate is to build and promote the local branches and state conferences, because that's truly the strength of the NAACP, isn't it, Derrick?
I mean, that's where it is. You know, community-centric organizing is what saves African American community and protect us. Is when we invest in an approach where we push local leadership forward. It is not based on a centralized personality, but the need of the community, and the community understands what the needs are better than anybody else.
Right.
Then we survive and we prosper. And so as I study movements, I look at where were the growth periods and how did it happen. So when you look at Ella Baker, what she created was not about her personality. It was pushing young people forward. But those young people that she trained, their job was to go into local community, work with local NAACP leadership as they provided protection and push local leadership forward. That's why we ended up with a Fannie Hamer or Annie Divide or Victoria Gray and countless other individuals who locally became powerhouses that galvanized the community in ways in which they were able to move forward. Because had that not happened, so many of our people are paralyzed.
Right.
They get paralyzed out of fear.
Yeah.
But fear is the motivator. It either compel you to do out of the fear that if you don't do, things will get worse, or will paralyze you and just accept the bad.
Yeah.
And we have to learn how to use fear as a catalyst to do, and not allow other people to use fear to paralyze us.
Yeah. It and it's also poetic justice that this happened in Alabama, where 52 years ago we had Bloody Sunday, the March from Selma to Montgomery, that Alabama was able to mobilize and make the difference in this election. 866-99-SIRIUS, 866-997-4748. Folks, quick calls. Derrick, what are, at the end of the year, this end of 2017, are some of the other things that the NAACP is focused on in these last couple of weeks of the year?
The federal judiciary nominees. I mean, we are looking at some of the most unqualified individuals being considered for the federal bench in perhaps the history of this country. And I'm not saying that to like, be wild, this is, end of the world. I'm saying that based on what many people seen last week during a Senate hearing, with the Senator asked basic questions. Have you ever done X? Do you know what this is? And the gentleman sitting at the table said, I do not know. Some essential questions that for a lawyer who's going to sit on a federal bench, if they don't know that, they cannot properly preside over a case or hear a motion if you don't know what the motion is. We are looking at a huge problem because unlike elected officials, federal judges are lifetime appointments.
They are.
And we have to do all we can to get senators not to move forward with these unqualified. Even the American Bar Association, as they rate nominees, they've rated probably more nominees as a result of the choices that's been made as unqualified or unfit.
They are. All these Trump nominees are unqualified and unfit for sure. And also, Derrick, we know we're on the verge. We're looking at this tax legislation has been announced too. They're going to come after Social Security and Medicaid. This tax bill and an attack on Social Security and Medicaid are going to affect millions of people. That's going to affect millions of people.
I tell anybody, the public policy fight that we're looking at is about who's taxed, who's not taxed, and what the tax dollars are spent for. Right. Race is the tool that's being used to generate fear and encourage people to go out and vote against their interests. Much of our public policy is driven by different levels of fear-mongering based on race or morality. And when most of us sit down and other people are motivated out of fear, then we get bad policy.
Yeah.
Our job at NAACP is to make sure that our folks don't sit down when we need them to stand up, because other communities are using fear as a tactic to compel folks to go out and vote against their interests.
Yeah.
And this tax bill is really bad. That's why that Senate race becomes really important. It was not about who got elected in Alabama. It was about a $1.5 trillion discretionary budget and what values is going to be at the table to consider what should get adopted or not. And if this tax bill gets carried over and everyone is seated, then we may have a different discussion. I believe that one of the reasons why they're rushing this tax bill is because they want to get it done as soon as possible, because the political dynamic is changing so fast. So many people are being exposed for the sexual harassment cases. So many people are reconsidering whether or not they want to retire, and the dynamics continue to change, and will not have the vote that they have right now to do what they've been seeking to do ever since the New Deal policies were implemented from 1932 forward.
Indeed, indeed. And they're also trying to make a move before Doug Jones is seated as well.
Absolutely,
they're trying to let him, and we know that trick.
Yep, absolutely. So, best believe that much of what's being done has a lot to do with money, and the government generate more resources, and it allocates those resources, but more importantly, it taxes individuals and corporations to cover the needs of society. And there are a set of individuals and corporations who feel they should not be taxed. The stock market crash in 1929 created a political space to elect an individual who could come in and talk about a more fair government, and that was FDR and New Deal policy. And the reaction of some of his policies created the space for a John Birch society.
Right.
And that John Birch society, it was all about tax policy using race as their vehicle to justify some bad outcomes.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Derrick Johnson, folks, president of the NAACP, with us, ladies and gentlemen, and always an honor to have him. Derrick, it's always a pleasure to have you with us on these Tuesday mornings. We look forward to continuing that relationship in the new year. Let me also say, there's this thing, Brent, you know about this, when people where they do this thing on social media now, when it's your birthday, you ask people to, rather than give you a gift, to make a donation instead of your birthday. So as you all know, my birthday is Thursday. And this is what I'm asking people. If you want to do something for me, join the NAACP. If you're already a member, purchase a membership for a loved one, a family member, or a friend. In fact, do that for Christmas too. We give a lot of material things that depreciate and break. Give the gift of membership to the oldest civil rights organization in the country. Go to NAACP.org. And I'm going to ask you, last year for my birthday, we asked people to give to Hungerthon. This year, join the NAACP. And everybody ought to be seriously considering that, especially in light of what just happened in Alabama and the impact of what just happened in Alabama. The NAACP made all the difference in the world. Doug Jones would not have won if it had not been for the NAACP. So for my birthday, for the holidays, I'm asking you to give the gift of membership in the NAACP. Give it to yourselves, give it to others. Derrick, I hope that works out, and I hope people will do that, my brother.
Thank you. To continue the good work, and I not only join the NAACP, but get involved.
Right.
And I appreciate all you do, Mark. And January 15th is the 50th anniversary of the sanitation workers' strike process. We're going to be honoring Bill Lucy at the Image Awards.
Yes, sir.
So I'm asking people to tune in but use that as a motivator to be engaged, because if they could, if garbage workers can take to the street to proclaim that I am a man, we can take to the streets and proclaim we are humans, we
That's
are
right.
citizens, and we're going to get control of our government.
And continue that struggle. Derrick, happy holidays, man. We'll talk in the new year, okay?
Take care, brother.
All right, Derrick Johnson, NAACP, with us, folks. 866-99 series. We're going to get ready to take a break on the radio. We're going to keep the stream up for a minute because while we're in break, there's just something else I want to share. I want to tell you all about this hoodie I'm wearing, the Trayvon Martin hoodie, because that's something else you can do. Sirius XM Progress 127. This is MIP. But for those of you still on the stream, we're still on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube. Make it plain. I'm wearing this Trayvon Martin hoodie, and I got mine at an event just a couple of weeks ago where Trayvon's mother was, Sabrina Fulton. And this, something else you ought to consider for the holidays is getting one of these hoodies. And we invite you to go to We Are Liberated and get one of these hoodies. It supports the Trayvon Martin Foundation. So consider that as you're looking for holiday gifts. Consider getting one of these hoodies. The Trayvon Martin Foundation gets the proceeds. Benga Akanagbe makes these hoodies. So please, man, please, sir, consider that in terms of your holiday gift giving as well. We will go back on the radio at about 4 minutes past. So we'll sign off of our stream now and join us live on radio. Give us a call. We're talking about Trump. We're talking about impeachment. We're talking about him possibly firing Mueller. A lot of things. So be sure to join us on the radio, Sirius XM Progress 127. Those of you still talking about canceling and boycott, don't do it. We're here. Support what we're doing. And we have already begun to drown out that other channel, Breitbart. So please, man, please, sir, join us. All right. Sirius XM Progress 127. This is MIP.